Who is the best insurance company to insure your short-term rental property? Today, I am going to give you that answer. Now, before we get started, it's important that we understand there are 4 main occupancy types that any insurance company looks at when they go to insure your property. The first occupancy type is personal, meaning you, the owner of the home, are living in the home. The second occupancy type is short-term rental. This is what most people do on Airbnb and VRBO. They rent their property or a portion of their property for a few days up to a few weeks. The third occupancy type that we need to consider is long-term rental. This is more like your landlords, people who are renting their home for 6 months at a time or up to a year at a time. And then the final and fourth occupancy type is unoccupied or vacant, meaning nobody's living in the house, it is sitting there vacant. With most insurance companies and policies, we can only sufficiently cover one of these occupancy types on any single policy. Very few insurance companies are able to cover all 4 occupancy types on any single policy. Many homeowners policies, personal policies, have an endorsement that you can add that gives you some coverage for a short-term rental if you're renting out a portion of your home or a room in your home. However, that still leaves out 2 other occupancy types, long-term rental and your home being unoccupied. In addition to that, many of the endorsements that are added on to your personal homeowner's policy are insufficient. They give you some coverage, but they are leaving out a lot of different coverage options that can be valuable to you should you ever experience a claim and need to take care of any damage to your property. So as you can see, most insurance companies just are not equipped to cover you properly for your short-term rental. Now, if you are simply renting out a small portion of your home or just a room in your home, in a lot of cases, you can get away with getting a personal homeowner's policy and adding that endorsement on. There are companies like Openly, Safeco, Travelers, and Foremost that can offer this endorsement. However, one important thing to point out is it is a personal homeowner's policy. The moment you start renting out your home, that's considered business or commercial use. And so that is why some of these endorsements fall short in giving you all of the coverage that you need. So long story short, if you have a property that is solely dedicated to short-term rental, or if you just want to make sure that you have all of the proper coverage that you need to look at a company called Proper Insurance. Let's talk about what makes Proper different and better. The first thing and one of the most important things is on a single policy that Proper offers, we can cover all 4 occupancy types. They will give you coverage for personal use, short-term rental, long-term rental, and when the home is vacant. Most short-term rental properties always have some type of unoccupancy or vacancy in between guests renting out the home. That is a very important distinction. They cover all 4 occupancy types. Their policy is a commercial policy. It is not a personal policy, even though yes, it does give you coverage for personal use, but all the other scenarios where you're collecting money, it is a commercial policy and therefore gives you the appropriate coverage. They also give you coverage for loss of income. So this means if a covered loss happens on your property and you file a claim, during the time you cannot rent out your property because it is being fixed, you have some type of coverage so that you are not losing out on that income that you can't create because your home is under construction or being fixed. They also offer liability limits of up to $2 million. This is very important because many times you don't know what's going on at your short-term rental while you're not there. There are many things that you could be held liable for and that you could be sued for. Proper gives you up to $2 million in liability coverage. On top of that, they also give you liability coverage for a lot of the activities that occur on your short-term rental property. Things like pools and bikes and boats and kayaks, things to that nature where people could get hurt and you could be liable. They offer liability coverage for those types of activities. They also offer, which a lot of these companies don't, but Proper does offer property damage coverage for when your property is damaged by renters. There are many more coverage options that Proper offers, but that is just a quick highlight. Those are things that many of these other companies simply don't offer, but Proper does offer that in their policy. A simple way to think about it is this. All of your traditional insurance companies, like the ones I listed before, Safeco, Travelers, Foremost, Openly, all of those companies were created for personal use. They've simply been reactive in trying to come up with coverage options and coverage endorsements to be able to cover these short-term rentals. In other words, they're being reactive, and the initial intent of these policies was to not give coverage for activities like short-term rental. With Proper Insurance, their policy was written specifically to address the short-term rental issue and giving coverage for all 4 occupancy types, as well as all of the other coverage options that we listed. Proper's policy was written specifically for you, the short-term rental owner. So there you have it. Down below, I will list some documents and even more information about what makes Proper the best homeowners insurance for your short-term rental. Check it out and let me know if you have any questions. It's also important to point out, I am not endorsed by Proper. I don't work for Proper. I am simply trying to educate and help, as we do in our agency, every single consumer have the education they need so that they can get the coverage they need to continue to build their better future. Thank you for watching. Again, please reach out if you have any questions, and we will see you in the next video.